closer and you say, okay, put the fence right adjacent to the one-story boathouse, I imagine, and I'd like to hear from the other board members, they still have the liability of anybody who would climb on those rocks, no matter where they put the fence and how far it extends out. So, I mean, and then I struggle with, you know, they did create this issue themselves. I mean, the revetment was there. It elevated the grade, and but they kind of captured the land that really was rightfully theirs. So it's a difficult one. I completely understand it's basically just a fence on an area, but you've created that area. So I'd like to hear what the other board members have to say.
I'll be glad to jump in at this point. I agree with Maria completely. I think she's really summed up the issues. Remember at the very beginning, I said this is a difficult issue. We have not had the kind of time that I would have liked to have thought this through, but tonight has been illuminating. The one thing that Mr. Bogger said that caught my attention and that I was wondering if there was going to be a response to was that in 2019, the revetment was actually built up, that the issue was in a sense created by the construction of the revetment during 2019. No one on behalf of the applicant denied that fact. And that to me is significant that, and I think a number of us have expressed that concern about what the property owners can do in terms of building out into the lake and then putting up a fence in order to prevent people from crossing over their now revetment property. So I'm concerned about that. Secondly, safety is important. I understand the safety issues, but no one has talked about the fact that when you can no longer go over the rocks one way or the other, with steps or without steps, you now are left currently with having to go into the water. And I don't think that's a solution for people to go into the water to try and walk along the beach. And as a result, what we end up with is, I think, an equally dangerous condition where you have people walking into the water rather than over the revetment. So in the end, I think, as I said earlier, Maria put it best, and I would agree with her analysis, and I will not be able to support the application.
Anyone else wish to speak? Ryrie or Christine?
Well, I thought Maria made some very good points. I think that boil it down to its nuts and bolts, as Bob did essentially. This is a simple fence case, and they're asking for a 5.5 foot variation, and it's whether or not we should grant the 5.5 foot variation. That's in tremendous success of what the standard is, and is a unique request. And as a result, I have a hard time supporting it.
Christine?
Yeah, I agree with all of Maria's points, but I also, I agree with Bob's comment as well. They do have a right to protect their property. The boathouse was, permitted. That was permitted in 1999. And so it's not like shouldn't be there. So yeah, I'm just equally as torn.
All right, we have, I also think Maria made some good points and followed the guidelines, the standards of review. I keep going back to the fact that they are not building a new revetment. They rebuilt it, and they're not, it's my understanding, not increasing the height of it or the extent of it. The question of the fence, which if constructed, would preclude transit across the revetment by the public effectively until the sand returns, which we hope it will. The lake level will decline. So that might, I understand the security for people to walk in front of those, the boathouse and disturb the people use of it. I think that is not acceptable. Now, the question then in my mind is that fence currently extends 50 feet to the east across the revetment. If it were 30 feet, what would be the difference? It would then allow people, albeit in dangerous situation, to cross the revetment. And what would it solve? In terms of the visual aspect, I don't know that it is that much detrimental to the coastline. It clearly is a visible object, but so are the revetments themselves. They are as high as the fence will be. So it's a difficult thing, but I am inclined to support it. Any other comments?
I have one last comment. I just don't, it's easy to be against this, given the standards of review and everything else, but given the situation and nature and what could be done, I don't see it as an architect, as a planner, a designer. I don't see another solution that would have worked to solve this really, except to say, well, maybe we'll remove some of the revetment at the base and maybe make it a little smaller. But beyond that, to preserve the property, I don't see what else could have been done. So I think it's a good solution. I think it's easy to stand back and say, well, it doesn't meet these standards, but at the same time, I don't know what I would have planned anything different. And I've done plenty of buildings, plenty of projects, and so it's a very difficult situation.
Are we ready to take a vote? I think we are. Ms. Roberts?
Ms. Choka Urban?
No.
Mr. Sermon?
Yes.
Mr. Falkoff?
No.
Ms. Norick?
No.
Mr. Pelleton?
No.
Chairman Schneider?
Yes, and this is a negative recommendation to the Board of Trustees, who will meet, and I'm sure you will want to be there.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, this case is going to be scheduled for November 10th before the village board at the request of the manager's office.
Thank you for.
So November 10th for this case.
Okay, thank you. Well, with that, I think, thank you all for your time and all the effort you've put in.
Chairman, I move to authorize the chairman to prepare the report and recommendation for the Zoning Board of Appeals for case number 2020-Z-31.
Second, anybody?
I'll second.
Okay,
Ms. Choka Urban?
Yes.
Mr. Falkoff?
Yes.
Ms. Norick?
Yes.
Mr. Pelleton?
Yes.
Mr. Sermon?
Yes.
Chairman Schneider?
yes. We have two more items on the agenda. Can someone make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Give me just a minute. motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 15th, 2020.
Second? Anybody?
Second,
Second, although I think it's July 15th?
No, it's June.
Oh,
June,
okay.
Mr. Pelletin,
Yes.
Ms. Choka Irvin,
yes.
Mr. Felkoff,
Yes.
Ms. Norick.
Yes.
Oops, sorry here. Mr. Sermon,
Yes.
Chairman Schneider.
Yes.
I'll make another motion to approve the September 2nd, 2020 meeting minutes.
Second,
Mr. Pelletin,
Yes.
Ms. Choka Irvin,
yes.
Mr. Felkoff,
Yes.
Ms. Norick,
Yes.
Mr. Sermon,
Yes.
Chairman Schneider.
Yes. Now, I guess I have to ask whether there's anybody out there who wishes to speak on anything that we haven't talked about or that we have talked about. Ms. Roberts, is there anyone?
How about
I-
this Karen Mearsman person?
Yeah, no, we don't have anybody else. Thank you.
I guess I just want to say one thing. I didn't realize until after the fact that John Colleen's last meeting was our last one. And I mean, it was really a pleasure to work with John, hardworking, level-headed, always brought a great sense of trust and understanding and everything else to the project, to all the cases that he addressed. So
No,
I personally
agree.
thank him.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. I had forgotten. So had Lisa that was his last meeting, and we should have done it there. But I called him, and we'll see if we can make an appointment to have a drink sometime.
He's probably watching tonight right now.
I bet.
You know, just as a side note, the night that you had difficulty and I took over as
Yeah.
assistant chairman or whatever, part-time, I get a text on my phone during the meeting from Pat Duffy. He's like, "We can't hear you. Turn up the volume." So once you're on the board, I don't know if you ever really leave it. You probably check in once in a while. So
Okay,
All right,
thank
thank
you.
you.
We
Move
missed
to adjourn.
The meeting is adjourned.
Second that. Thank you.
Second, yes.